Welcome to another episode of the Logicast. My name is Blanca Khan. I'm joined by the usual panelists, Esoteric Skills, Huddle Wolf, Gunner EOS. This week, we're going to be doing a hot takes episode. What that means, for those who don't know, is we have a wheel that you see on the screen right now with hidden topics, and we're going to spin the wheel, and fate will choose our discussions today. So, with that being said, let's spin the wheel and see what we have. Can't look directly at it because I'll go blind.
But your favorite colors are on there, though.
True.
Huh.
Strategy games are more satisfying than shooters.
Wait, say that one again?
Strategy games are more satisfying than shooters. It kind of depends on who you ask.
Yeah, I was gonna...
Yeah, that's
It's not-
real opinionated. Yeah.
that this is super like. This could go either way depending on who you're talking to.
I mean,
It could, but
I'm
you know.
partial to both. To me, it's like kind of the same.
Me given a choice, I'll choose the strategy game because I just like those inherently more. But I'm not gonna say it's better than a shooter. They're two different things.
No, it's not about it being better. It's about it being more satisfying. So which one is, if you had to go to those out of those two genres, which one would you is more attractive to you more, basically? Like which one are you more attracted to? So
Strategy games for me, but maybe I'm reading too much into like two lines of words, but it makes it sound like I have to shit on the other one. Like, well, strategy games are clearly more satisfying than shooters. Shooters are for Neanderthals.
No.
That's kind of what I got from it, but
Or vice
is
versa,
like,
That's what I got from
this
it.
is like, would you cut off your left hand or go blind? It's like, it sounds like one of those things. It's like either, but
No, the premise is more like what is your go to, not so much like shitting on the other genre. It's like
honestly, I can't answer this question, because they both kind of occupy. Like, I can play a strategy game if I'm in the mood to play a strategy game like Civilization and get a lot of enjoyment out of it, or I could play Call of Duty or something like that, and depending on what's going on, I could have a lot of fun with that as well. So I don't
true.
prefer one over the other more. So this is a question I cannot answer.
So here's my question, right? Let's kind of maybe revamp the story. The question, right? Based upon your gaming tenure, which one has had more of a like? Which one has produced more of a satisfaction for you, in like throughout your entire like gaming? I know you can't maybe speak on your entire gaming history because that's like
difficult, right? Because I can talk about moments in both genres equally. I could talk about my time playing Time Splitters, and I had hundreds of hours in that game. I could talk about playing Civilization um, 6, and I spent hundreds of hours playing that game, nuking other countries, and I got very similar levels of satisfaction from both. So
Okay.
like nothing sticks out to me. I cannot answer this question. To my answer is both. No one does not trump the other. If it was a different set of genres, maybe if you said strategy games or platformers, I'd be more partial to platformers. But
Okay.
shooters and strategy games, to me personally, are a genre that I don't specialize in, but I enjoy both. I would say pretty equally, depending on my mood and depending on the game that we're talking about. So that's my answer.
Okay, that's understandable.
You could deduct points for me, I guess. I don't know.
No, no, I'm just
Deducted.
What
But
about
I
what
leave
say
it to
you
y'all.
guys? Yeah, what say you guys?
I mean, me personally, I'd always, not always choose, but more often than not, I'm going to be playing a strategy game more than a shooter. I haven't really played um an FPS in a very long time, and the I guess third person shooter that I play frequently is Space Marine 2. Um, but I play more strategy games
Mm-hmm.
just by virtue of genre that I like. Like I'm gonna be all over Tactics remake when that comes out the end of the month. So that's gonna take up most of September and October, the end of September and October. But I don't think shooters are inferior to strategy games. I just play strategy games more by virtue of what I like. And there are shooters that I like. There are shooters that I care for. I don't care for battle royales, for example, but if you put up if there was like a private lobby of Black Ops 1, yeah, I'd probably play that pretty quickly because I enjoy OG Black Ops 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So TLDR, to me, it's not so much satisfying as in inferior, superior. It's I just gravitate to strategy games more than shooters, but I don't dislike shooters. I just play them less.
Okay. What say you, Wolf?
Yes, pretty much the same thing. I don't necessarily dislike shooters. I just find more satisfaction in strategy games. Um, but I think I play more shooters than the rest of you. Whether it's a battle royale shooter or a looter shooter or Call of Duty. Um, so for me, I won't say they're on the same level, but they're not too far. Shooter doesn't fall too far behind from the strategy games.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I would say it's about it's really depending on my mood. There are times where I just wanna just play a game that's a little more straightforward. And I find enjoyment in that. And then there is times where I have the patience in the moment to sit down and really think through the gameplay and take my time with the gameplay and so forth and so forth, which most likely I'll pick up a strategy game then. So I don't have a dislike in either. I don't have a dislike in shooters. I just slightly, by a slim margin, I play strategy games more.
Okay. Understood. Um. So yeah, that question was more so like open to interpretation. Like for example, with me, I tend to nowadays play more shooters than strategies. However, I feel as though when I do play strategies, they are more. I get more satisfaction out of them due to the fact of like it requires in my opinion, based upon the games, the shooters that I've played, it requires a higher thought process. You know, when I equate strategy games to kind of like playing chess or like any type of board game that requires thinking. Chess, checkers, not mahjong. What's the other? They call it Chinese checkers, but it has another name to it. But I equate that to games like that, and I feel like the victory in terms of like
Sudoku,
no,
the numbers
Sudoku
game.
is the numbers game. It's
Okay.
Chinese checkers. It's in basically
Is it the
um
little balls and it's like a star?
it's like a star, yeah. So I don't know if they
Okay, I know which game you're talking about. I don't know the official name though.
yeah, me neither. I don't recall at this time. But it's games like that that's like, thought provoking. When I play strategy games like one of my favorite games is Disgaea. You're moving different units, you're building them up. You're also like fighting them against other opponents that have certain moves, and then you have certain moves, and then you kind of like duke it out, and you have to like pretty much understand who it is that you're going up against, as well as the limitations of the field and your units and whatnot, and selecting the right units for the job. So, not to say
Say
that
it's also no Chinese checkers because I was curious. I've never heard this before, but Stern Halma,
yeah, no,
it's
no,
also called that. So
Huh.
anyway,
that doesn't.
Stern Halma, sure,
Yeah,
everybody's
that
favorite.
that doesn't ring a bell. But
Anyway,
yeah,
continue.
yeah, I was just saying basically that yeah, I do like both genres. The way I interpret it, it wasn't a matter of which genre is better than the other. I think it was which one brings more of a like a satisfaction to you. Like which one gives you
It all depends, man. There are nights where I just
yeah
want to pop heads. and
I'm sorry,
just
but I'm reading through the variations of Chinese checkers, and this one sounds offensive.
oh my
Hop,
god.
hop, ching checkers. Hop, ching. Anyway, go
We opened a can of worms for Kong.
No,
Yeah,
just that's the last thing I'll share.
yeah, I know it's a matter of like you pick your poison for the night or whatnot. And again, like I tend to play a lot more shooters than I do strategy games because given the time allotted, given just like my how I feel during the day, like if I
Yeah.
just want to unwind after having a hard day of work because work is very thought provoking. You want to just like dumb down and play a shooter because it's just for the most part, based on the games that I play, like Call of Duty, is just point and shoot. It doesn't require a specific role that you must partake in, like if you're a medic or, kind of like how Battlefield is built, where you have different roles and you have to like really engage in those roles in order to secure victory. I play more watered down.
Which I'm sure most of the player base doesn't
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah, true, true. Um, but yeah, when I do play a strategy game, the amount of work I put into like the units, the amount of work that I put into like the skills that they would have, the like understanding the terrain, understanding the enemies, figuring out certain strategies to be able to pick off the enemies, things like that. I feel like I get more of a satisfaction because I went up this kind of like hill per se, and then I overcame that mountain, and now I'm kind of like good. You know what I'm saying? So um, that's the way I personally interpreted the question. They both exist in my gaming sphere. They're both equally fun in my opinion, but in terms of like the end results and getting the like, ooh, that feels good, I would give it more to like strategy games. So that's how I looked at it.
Mm, mm, okay.
Okay, so
Oh,
that was not a very good hot takes question, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll get it because it was just too vague. It was like,
yeah.
I get it.
but
I
It was
get
more,
that's
it.
okay.
it was more like a confusing take than hot.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Here we go. Don't look at it 'cause watching games online can ruin your enjoyment later. Why don't you start us off, Esoteric?
Okay, so again, this how I interpreted the question was basically you're a lot of people nowadays they tend to watch other people play games that they haven't played online, and then they decide to play it at a later time. So essentially, the question I would say is I would agree with the take because I'm the type of person when I play games, I don't like to be spoiled by anything. I like to make sure that I have an open run, meaning that a blind run, excuse me, meaning that from start to finish, for the most part, I am fully unaware of everything that's occurring within the game. Um, so that's pretty much essentially what the question is. Like, basically, watching games can spoil your time with it later. Like watching other people play games that you're interested in can spoil it for you later.
So I used to think this way. And then video games started costing $70.
Yeah.
So if I'm interested in a game, and if it's something that I don't, it's not a remake of something I already know. If it's one of the few times it's something brand new, I'll watch someone play it. Or if it's something I don't even know, there have been plenty of streams that I'll watch somebody play a game. I'm like, what the heck is this? I'd never heard of this, or I didn't know
Hmm.
it was coming out. And I'll watch them play a couple hours of it, get through the first couple hours of the game, and I'll go, oh, this actually seems pretty interesting, and I'll buy it and I'll start playing it myself. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't watch them play. And it doesn't kill my enjoyment because if it's a game with nuance, then I might approach a particular boss battle, for example, differently than the streamer that I watched did, and I might find something they completely missed because um as you know, you stream.
Mm-hmm.
You're juggling the game, chat, and probably a bunch of and your OBS not exploding on you, so you're not fully 100% in the game. So
Yeah.
you might miss something that you wouldn't miss if you didn't have a chat and a computer to worry about. So I might experience something different than the stream that I saw. So for me, not really. No, I used to think that, um, but now a lot of the times when I watch a stream of a game I'm curious about or I don't know about, it could get me interested in the game. I'll pick up the game on my own, and I'll still watch the streamer play it, and we'll either be at the same point in the game, or I'll be ahead, or they'll be ahead, and it won't enjoy it won't ruin my experience. Now, if they're coming up to a final boss, I might skip that stream if I'm close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm ahead of them, then I'll just watch them. I do it to you sometimes. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I played Lies of P when you were gonna play it. Then I got pushed back, so I was able to watch you play Lies of P. And I haven't played the DLC, and I've been watching you play the DLC. It doesn't spoil my enjoyment. It goes, oh wow, that's interesting, and I see you collect some of the new weapons. It's like, okay, that I might want to try that, or that weapon doesn't look all that interesting. So that's some real world example of watching you play something I haven't played yet. I'm still gonna play the DLC, just when I get to it.
Okay, that's understandable. That's definitely not so much a new perspective, but yeah, you definitely raise a lot of good points with that. So
Go ahead, Will.
Um, so for me, I don't watch people play video games in general. I can't do it. It I watched someone play a very long time ago. I watched someone start the beginning of Fallout 3, and I felt like I wanted to gouge my eyes out because of how they play the game. So I just can't do it. However, however, I'm an information kind of person. So I will watch snippets of things about the video game, whether it's like a person's perspective on the best way to start the video game, or let's go back to strategy games, like what are good characters for the strategy game, so forth and so forth, which can come with spoilers. So for me, it doesn't ruin my enjoyment of the game later, because if especially if the game has a has the capability of being played the way you want to play it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I'm gonna play the same exact way or have to
Right.
experience the same exact experience as the person. Like Elden Ring, there's so many different ways you can start Elden Ring. So it's like if I watch someone play Elden Ring, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna go through the exact same journey as him. Although I do believe there is an actual progression route that the game expects you to, but um it doesn't mean that I will have to go that route as that person, but I can still get information from them, like, hey, when you start at the very beginning of the game, turn to this cave and you'll get this really cool weapon or something like that. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what happens in Elden Ring. I'm just using that as an example
yeah.
Yeah.
um, of what games could do for you or what watching it could do for you. But so for me, the research is nice, which I ends up learning more about the video game as you progress through it. So but it doesn't bother me because my enjoyment comes from my enjoyment of the gameplay of the video game is not reliant on what a person is going to show me. It's more reliant on how I react to what I'm physically dealing with in the video game myself. So I it doesn't that doesn't bother me at all. Really don't.
All right. Okay.
So this only applies to me for certain titles. So like I would probably never watch somebody play a Resident Evil game that I have never finished because that game, a part of the gameplay is discovery. So if the
Mm,
game's initial, like if the game's overall design is centered around mystery and discovery, and that's a part of the gameplay loop, and I know that, then I will not watch somebody play that particular game. Same with like maybe a new Souls game. I might be a little apprehensive before watching them play, just because discovery and mystery is a part of those games, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but generally speaking, and this is gonna sound a little black pill, I guess, but like a lot of the games recently have disappointed me. So there is nothing worth hiding from myself from an experience like from I need to experience this firsthand for the first time and not see it on the screen. Like there's never been, or there hasn't been recently, a moment where it's like holy shit, like that has I can't remember the last time that's happened. uh so hiding it from myself to reserve the blind experience isn't valuable to me anymore, because I'm just constantly disappointed or let down. Familiarity has become more valuable to me. So I've been going back to old games that I used to play, or games that I wanted to play in the past, but never got to for one reason or another. And so that's kind of where I've lived for like the last few years. Um, and I can absolutely watch people play those games, even if I haven't finished them myself, because like these guys were saying, being introduced to the subject matter for the first time is cool, but what's more valuable is experiencing it and executing success yourself is more valuable as far as
Right.
like the gameplay is concerned. So, you could watch somebody do amazing in a boss battle, but especially if it's like an RPG where there's like a lot of different routes for character building, but like that's just one way to skin a cat. So it's like, now how am I going to do it? And the knowledge that I have gained from watching this person play just kind of accelerates the gameplay. Like it just kind of I watching somebody play something is like playing the demo of it before it comes out. Like to me, it's like kind of one and the same, or it's very close. So it doesn't ruin it. It's just like trailers. Do trailers ruin a game for you? It can, but not always. It usually doesn't. So like to me, it's pretty close. So yeah. Again, this is another like it kind of depends on what we're talking about question. But I hope that I made my point clear. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, you did. You did. I mean, a lot of people, um, for some people, watching someone stream the game is more important than playing it, or it's a way for them to
Yeah, that's
watch
true.
somebody. Yeah, it's to watch somebody play a game they would never be good at. So, quick example
That's
before we
another
move
point.
on to the next one. Um, Silk Song, for those who don't know, it's the new hotness, probably game of the year, if not, if Expedition doesn't beat it. But needless to say, it's very popular. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the consensus for you guys in the audience that may not know is that the game is pretty tough. Like it's pretty unforgiving, and it expects a lot out of you. So that's a whole, we can make a whole discussion about that in and of itself. But there are some people who have kind of resigned themselves to the fact that they can't play Silk Song. They just do not have the skill capabilities to successfully finish that game, so they watch someone stream it. So now like the experience feels like a shared experience. They're watching the person get through the game, do the platforming, fight the bosses, make the discoveries, and it's just like, okay, well, I didn't play it, but I know I can't play it. So me watching the streamer play it is a way for me to interact with the hype and be part of the quote unquote community without having to like shake my fist at Team Cherry and say, "Make this game easier, bigot." Um, so that's another reason why people would watch someone play it and get enjoyment out of it. So
Yeah, yeah, that's understandable. If you don't have any intentions of essentially playing the game, but you're still curious to see like what the game is about, yeah, that's completely understandable. And I know that to some degree, yes, people tend to watch gameplay for games because of like the disappointment for current gen titles and stuff like that. I just think like for me personally, you know, I think a part of the journey not only discovering like how like the route in which that you're going to play, um, but also like the route how you're going to tackle certain things, and a part of that is like for me again personally is discovering what the bosses or what the enemies are capable of within your own set of eyes. Because it's like, okay, I get that you can change it up when you're doing like a strategy game, or if you're or any game, like any boss that you encounter. If you're watching it the first time with a person, from a person stream or whatever platform you're tuning into it, it's like, well, you already know what you're walking into. Like, so let's say for example, um, someone who hasn't played Final Fantasy, they're watching a stream with someone who's going against a Malboro, and the Malboro is casting every single status ailment on you. It's like you wouldn't have known that or known how to approach that, unless you watched someone who did it for the first time. So I feel like it kind of takes away sometimes from that experience, because now it's like, well, I watched this streamer do it. I know what this Malboro is capable of. So now I know how to approach this fight. Whereas for me, it's like kind of like that experience where that Kong had that you guys told me about for Final Fantasy 11, where he went in completely blind. He's like, "Oh, Malboro, what the hell is that?" And then next thing you know, it's just all these status ailments just dropping, or showing up on his screen. I feel like that, that's more of a fun experience to me.
Sure,
Yeah,
but that's an old game, and that's an old character from an old RPG. Like that was kind of my point. Is like new games tend to not be able to do that or create those moments. They a lot of newer games feel so shallow and predictable that even if I hid everything about the game for myself, it it would be a wet fart of a plot twist or a gameplay reveal or something like that.
true,
So
but it doesn't
maybe
have to
for you,
be. It doesn't have to be new games. It could be old titles. Because again, I mean, we haven't played like every old title, back in the days that's been released. And there's quite a few streamers who are streaming retro titles. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, it still falls in the same vein. It doesn't matter whether it's a new game or an old game. It's more about whether or not you've experienced the game, and how you're going about experiencing the game. Like if there's like, let's say there was a Mega Man game that you haven't played. Mega Man is pretty much an old title. So if there's a Mega Man game that you haven't played, but there's a streamer that's playing it, would you be inclined to like watching it, or would you more likely want to experience that game in its
I've
entirety for
I've
yourself?
done it. I've
Okay,
done it. I've
okay,
watched people play Mega Man games where I haven't finished or played. Like I
okay,
never finished or played Mega Man X 2 or 3, and I've watched people play through it and finish those games, and I didn't personally finish them.
okay.
And would I go back and play them? I plan to. So,
Mm.
and here's the thing. This could be exclusive to me. I have a thing where it's very easy for me to ignore something or to forget something. Like if like some people ask me like how I'm able to do that, or like how I'm able to just kind of forget about something, and it's just like I don't know, my mind kind of like works in a way where it's like there's like this mental trash bin, and is if I truly don't care about something or I feel like it's forgettable information, I will kind of just forget about it.
You can
Like it'll just kind of go
compartmentalize
away,
basically.
or I could just kind of hide it, and then that file of the memory will come up when it's relative. So like I can watch somebody, like I can watch you play through a game today, and then in a year from now or 6 months from now, I can play through it and vaguely remember some stuff, but not nearly enough to where I still can't be surprised. Like I'll still
Okay,
be surprised somehow.
okay.
So like that could be a thing for me where I'm able to do that. I could just be dumb, and my mind doesn't function properly, and so I'm able to forget things, or sometimes I will just
No,
forget about things.
I don't think that's
So
the
I don't
case.
know.
I think because and this is just me assuming. Typically, when you are watching streams, you're one multitasking, and two, like you know, you're not. From what I know of you, like you're not fully focused or enthralled in what it is that you're like tuning into. You're probably
I
doing
can
other
be.
things.
It depends. Like
Okay,
if I'm watching you and I'm active in the chat, I'm watching you. Like
okay,
I'm not just I'm not doing other. Like if I become silent in the chat, it's because I'm either multitasking or I'm AFK. like if I'm watching you stream on one monitor and I'm playing, let's say Project Zomboid on another,
Mm-hmm.
like my like 90% of my attention is on 98% of my
It's
attention is on
Zomboid.
Zomboid,
Yeah,
and
has
the
to
other
be.
two is like whatever's going on here, and like something has to happen for me to like even shift 10% over. So
Gotcha.
like, or if, and there are other streamers like I watch Woody in the Puddle. He was just playing a game that I've never seen before, and I was like, this game looks kind of cool. Like the graphics are shit, but like the gameplay looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was called The Bleakest Peak or something like that, and it was like a roguelike Souls-like game, or
Yeah.
but it looked like a PS1 game. Looked pretty cool. I think you should check it out. If anything, I'll link it to you. But yeah, it kind of depends, but for the most part, I could kind of watch people play games and it's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't really affect my interest in playing it. And sometimes watching a streamer play through a game is enough for me to
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that particular game. Like I could just watch somebody play. I'm like, all right, I think I know everything I need to know. I don't need to pour 20 hours into this game. I watched this
yeah.
guy play for 5 hours, so
Which
which
saves
is
you
fine
time
for
and
me.
money.
Yeah, which is
Gotcha.
fine for me.
Gotcha.
So if anything, the streamers or watching games online can help me make a determination of whether or not something is even worth my time. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, let's
Spin
spin
that
the wheel.
bitch.
Piracy helps preserve games. Yeah.
As a loyal supporter of Nintendo, no, piracy is wrong, and we should destroy all. No, I mean, um, yeah, I mean, piracy, preservation, they're two sides of the same coin, really. Um, one man's pirate is another man's preservationist. It depends on who you ask, but yeah, I mean, if there are some games where the only viable way to play them is to play cracked or pirated versions of these games, and if it's gonna help games like Scott Pilgrim, that side scroller beat 'em up, that was in limbo for a very long time until eventually licenses were worked out and it showed back up on the PlayStation Network, but who knows if something else is going to come up and that disappears again or games like it. If you have a pirated copy of it, you have a copy of it and it's preserved and you can share it and distribute it. The suits aren't going to like you, but when are they ever going to like anything unless you just buy their shit every year? So, yeah, I agree. It helps preserve games.
Yeah.
No matter what terminology you use for it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like this is going to be a unanimous decision. It's no shock that I also agree. When I think of this question, I immediately started thinking about that amazing demo that I missed out on that was only on the PS3, and people are literally selling their PS3 for like hundreds of dollars over the market price. And for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about like the Silent Hill PT. That demo that.
That was on PS4, not PS3.
Oh, it's PS4. Oh, okay. My apologies. I
Yeah,
thought it was PS3.
2014, I believe. Yeah.
2014. Okay. So, um, on the PS4, and they're selling, PS4 consoles over the market price because of the fact that they have a copy of that demo on their console. So if, I don't think there's any like pirated copies of that demo. But that would have been a method for them to be able to preserve that demo since that game never came out. And people are saying that it was one of the scariest experiences that they ever had with that demo. I was able to see like footage of it. So, thanks to the people that recorded it, because I'm never going to be able to experience it myself. But yeah, if people shared this like ideology of piracy helping preserve games, or like if the suits thought that, then we wouldn't have to deal with, certain games that are being discontinued costing hundreds of dollars. You know, you have games like Rule of Rose. I believe I was looking at a U.S. copy of Clock Tower 3, I believe it was, and that was like a lot of money, and a couple of other games. And, you know, people don't have the financial backing to buy these things, so they're going to resort to piracy because they want to experience the game. Not because they want to make a quick buck from it, but they want to experience it. So, yeah, I agree with
Well,
the
piracy
take.
and emulation, while very similar, are two very different things. Piracy would be like only applicable to like modern day software, right? Like you, if you had a cracked copy of like the original Photoshop, is it really piracy? The product isn't available anymore, at least in that form. So it's like you're not really pirating. So like
No,
it's you know
no,
because you
you're
can't
not.
buy it. So
Yeah,
it's like I can't buy a new copy of Aladdin for Super Nintendo. Well, yeah, of course, it's not on market anymore. It's like not available any other way except the secondhand market, which is separate from like the original development team and the original publisher. So like piracy, I think in that aspect is helpful to preserving new games which tend to be digital only. Uh you know, I say if you could afford to pay for it and you think it's worth it, I think you should purchase it.
Hmm.
But being able to download and kind of keep a digital file of the game on a hard drive or something, I think is important because, well, you could preserve the game that way. But of course, that's in violation to like terms of service and all that. So
yeah. Like if you come in here saying I got a pirated copy of Borderlands 4 and I'm preserving the game, I'm gonna side eye you. It's like, sure, buddy, you care about the gaming industry. There's no way to get Borderlands 4. It's you had to do it. I understand.
But so my question is, isn't there like an overlap of like piracy and emulation?
there's an overlap for sure.
Okay.
But piracy, like technically, you're you're stealing something that you can buy.
Yeah.
That's right. Whereas like you can't buy. There's a lot of video games you can't purchase anymore, which is why this whole this preservation thing is like such a hot topic within the gaming industry because there's so much content that is just not available in its original form because of just the acceleration of the market. Like you could buy there's still a way to buy Terminator 2 if you wanted to watch Terminator 2, right? You could
Yeah.
still pay for the service of watching it, whether it be through streaming or through buying. If you find a DVD or Blu-ray out there, whichever store might still carry them, that you're still buying it from an official source, and presumably the original, like the IP holders at least, are getting a cut of that, and like the actors and crew members are getting royalties for that sale. So versus you just ripping it from some website or something like that.
Yeah.
With video games, you can't really do that, and that's a big point of contention. Piracy wouldn't be as big of a deal in gaming if the IP holders just made it fucking available on modern day hardware. If Nintendo just made everything available, at least everything first party, because third party could get a little complicated. But at least if they made first party stuff available on their Switch and Switch 2 on their on their storefront, I think 90% of people who would pirate I don't know, Metroid Prime 2 wouldn't because it's like, well, I could just download it on my like most gamers are willing to pay for the products as
Yeah.
long as you give it to them in a way that's acceptable and at a reasonable price. I'm looking at you, Nintendo, charging us $70 to $90 for fucking Mario Galaxy 2 on Switch. But anyway,
Yeah, and also to add
I'm
to
gonna leave
that,
that one alone.
I think it's also a matter of convenience, right? Because typically when people pirate games, it's on, at least to my knowledge, it's on a console that is easy for them to play that game. You know, it's tangible. It's not like if I wanted to play a Super Nintendo currently, I would have to get a whole new TV because the TVs that take the composite cables are no longer in factory right now. They're no longer being produced. Or I would have to peruse the internet to see if they have some type of interchangeable cable of HDMI to the Super Nintendo and hope that it even works because it's third party. Nintendo isn't making it, so I would have to resort to that. So yeah, typically when people pirate
I
stuff,
hear you, man. And listen, there's a dinosaur hunting game that I want to play on original Xbox. Is Japan only, and I cannot find a playable ISO or ROM file of it. I cannot be done. To play that, I got to get a Japanese Xbox, then get the game, which is like going for like $80 to $100 for the original disc, and I got to play it in Japanese on top of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's mad annoying. Like just make it available, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
As Gabe Newell says, piracy is a service problem.
No lies detected. Anyway, I don't know if Wolf had anything to add to the piracy conversation. And the crowd goes mild. All right.
I guess he stepped away for a moment.
Yeah, he's AFK.
But he would agree with us though. I think
he went to go pirate something. It's okay.
I think if you click the hide button after you spin, I think it takes away that topic. That point.
We'll try it on the next one.
Yeah.
I'm not reading the other topics. I'm just kind of looking for that.
No, I know.
We just read.
Just for the convenience,
Oh shit! Okay.
Pokemon hasn't evolved in 2 decades.
What's so hot about this take?
Yeah, talk about the fucking ice cold take. Yeah, Pokemon has not evolved in 2 decades. Would be since 2005. Yeah, that checks out. 2005 was right before Pearl, Diamond and Pearl. I think Diamond and Pearl was 2006, right, or 07.
I don't know. I was gonna ask you guys. I didn't want to do any research prior because I completely forgot.
Ruby and Sapphire was 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And so it checks out. And then we had Fire Red and Leaf Green the following year, and then we had Emerald. Then we got Fire Red, Leaf Green, and then we moved over to DS. And the DS came out in 2004. Pokemon, I'm pretty sure, came out either 05 or 06. So even if it's been 19 years, if I'm off by a year, yeah, it hasn't evolved since, in my opinion. Well, I think Black and White did some innovative things too, but it wasn't that far from Pearl and Diamond, in my opinion. I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. But on its face, I would have to agree with who would even, I think, contest this. Yeah, Pokemon hasn't evolved in 2 decades, at least not in a way that's substantial and noteworthy. It's evolved in the sense that it's moved to new platforms and it's gone full 3D since 2005. So graphically, it's evolved. Supposedly, depends on who you ask. I think the sprite designs were better. Mm-hmm. I think they aged better. I think they look better. So I would say I would even argue and say it's devolved, if anything. But yeah, this kind of depends on who you ask. If you ask like a hardcore Pokemon, knob slobber, they'd probably scoff at this statement and go, of course Pokemon's evolved. It's so much better now. Sure, for you, I guess, maybe. But for me, it really hasn't. It's been treading the same waters for a long time. And we've been asking for a Pokemon MMO forever. With all the regions and all that, they can absolutely do that. They just know they don't have to. So they continue to give us the slop that they give us. So yeah, that's my spiel.
I mean, I'll be quick. As a guy who checked out a Pokemon mainline anyway, they might be like, yeah, I'm a big Pokemon Snap enjoyer. But as far as mainline goes, since Ruby, that was the last Pokemon game I played to completion. I tried Scarlet and Violet. That was fucking a waste of money. Game ran at 2 frames on a good day. Yeah, so as a guy who it's not really involved with the mainline franchise anymore. It kind of looks the same, and if there was more to it, um, I I wouldn't even criticize it because I'm the guy that wants Final Fantasy the status. I'm the guy that doesn't like Final Fantasy 16 because they turned it into an action game. Other people would say, "Well, get with the times, Grandpa. It's new game, new time. I don't got time to be turn based anymore." So I'll give Pokemon that. It has stayed consistent with its style of game. It has stayed a turn based RPG for a long time. This new one is looking to be different. So I mean, maybe that statement doesn't hold true anymore. But they haven't done anything with the genre. It's still the same type of
On a
game.
surface level, has it done anything? I mean, I venture to say that if you look into the competitive aspect, and Wolf will be able to speak more to it than I could,
Yes, I could.
there is depth there, but on the surface level experience, there hasn't been depth, and that's how I read the question. So
Yeah, that's
um,
that's how I'm looking at it. Like in terms
yeah,
of like story progression, different types of storylines they're doing. I mean, again, they tried. They had Arceus. That was an attempt to deviate from the traditional get your badges, fight the gym league, the Pokemon League, become the Pokemon Master. They tried, but the gameplay did not back up the new story direction. It just
Yeah,
became a catch fest to fill up a Pokédex.
yeah.
Which
Mhm.
no, like the story to like create the first Pokédex, that could be an interesting storyline. It's just I don't know if Pokemon or the people running like the storyline. I don't know if they're capable of making interesting Pokemon storylines. Divorcing from the actual gameplay and competitive, like the actual storyline of a given Pokemon game, I don't know if they could make an interesting Pokemon storyline anymore.
Oh, yeah. You
That's
said you said
me
anymore.
looking
Okay.
me looking in. Yeah, it's just like it's been the same storyline roughly for decades now. And that was
Yeah.
it. That was it. That was my point. I didn't leave to like leave it hanging like
No,
that.
no. I was gonna say. I was gonna just chime in and say that they to try to give them the little itsy bitsy credit for Scarlet and Violet. I think that they tried to deviate from the norm and make it an open world. It's just that it was just executed poorly. Like it wasn't playable. In terms of like the frames and all of that stuff, the droppage and like the graphics because it just looked really weird. Like the certain things from afar was just like still it appeared to be still images until you got closer and like things was just running as Gunnar said in 2 frames per second. But they did try to make it open world esque where you can essentially choose to fight a gym or choose to take down whatever team it was during that game. I don't really remember. Um, and pretty much do things within the world before just going the linear route and like finishing the game, getting your 8 badges and going to fight the league. If you even fight the league, because I personally stopped after a while. That was like I think the only Pokemon game I think besides Sun and Moon, no Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon that I did not finish. Um, but I agree with you guys. I think though I think where everything has stopped personally for me would have been X and Y. Um, I Black and White did contribute I think hugely in terms of like from what I recollect that was the first Pokemon game where all the content you didn't have to really go outside of the game. You was able to get like all the content in terms of like the special events or whatever. They had them all there. From what I recollect, I would have to do some more research on that, and I'll like add it to the description of this video. Um, but I think Black and White did contribute a lot. As far as X and Y, I think they did a couple of cool things in terms of like in terms of like expediting effort training for tournament play or whatever. So I think where it kind of stopped was Sun and Moon. I think that's where they kind of like went on a decline personally for me. But I do agree with all the other stuff. I think the sprites was absolutely better, especially like back in like gold, silver, um, Ruby Sapphire. I think the Pokemon looked way more intimidating. I think transitioning them into 3D made them look a little cutesy or whatnot. Um, I remember growing up and playing these games when they had the sprites, and I was like, "Holy shit, these Pokemon look scary." And I enjoyed the art style of like the light and shadows that they had for the Pokemon, and like the ambiguity between certain like forms. It made it look even more mysterious. I'm looking at Pokemon in particular like Kangaskhan, Scyther, Tauros, and whatnot. They looked way more intimidating back then. Um, but yeah, yeah. What say you, Wolf? If you're there, because I know you'll have a lot more to say about this.
Mm. I think they, mm, I think it just became like one gimmick mechanic after another once X and Y came out. Um, and then every new generation presented a new gimmick. But I would say that it hasn't, animation wise, it hasn't evolved in the last 20 years. I would say that for sure. But I would say they've deviated heavily away from the tried and true collect your badges, become champion, and stuff like that. They don't do that anymore, even with the new main storylines. It's not a thing. Um, does that mean that it feels different?
Well, you collect
That's
badges and play the Pokemon League in Scarlet Violet.
There's no league in Scarlet Violet.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is. You had like three things you had to
There were three
do
main storylines. There
research.
was the school storyline, there was the research storyline, and then there was the gym league. And
Oh yes,
Jita was
right.
the worst fucking champion ever with a fucking Go-Go on her team. But yeah, she was the champion. So I
I
mean, it was
Yeah,
forgettable. I give you that, but it did exist.
I
I
don't
don't
even
think I
know.
think it's because it wasn't the forefront of the story. The forefront of the story was really discovering what happened to the professor, and if you played the future one, why
That's
did they
true.
get stuck in the future? And if you played the past one, why did they get stuck in the past? And finding out what happened to them. That's the actual, that was the forefront storyline.
Mm.
Um, so but as far as like say animation wise, yeah, no, it's been the same from the beginning, and it doesn't look like they intend to change it. But they've been adding in these different little gimmicks, game per game, and it's some of them are not so great as others, and that's a very opinionated statement. But it's not. I don't know. I think the biggest issues with them is the problem of wanting to graphically update, and also the to graphically update, and also working out so that they are released as complete non-glitched items or products. That's a big issue with them, and I think that's where a lot of people gets this criticism from, not necessarily what the storyline is or what's new coming out.
Yeah, I understand that. I, I think we also had a discussion maybe some time ago about this. But I think one of the biggest hurdles that we did discuss was the fact that they have too much stuff to take into account in terms of like the amount of Pokemon, the moves, balancing them out, and stuff like that. Um, I think that's like quite the hurdle for them to have to deal with.
It's that, but it's also all the different product lines too. So like, it is in their best interest to streamline game development as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to align with the overall deadlines that they have set for the anime, for the manga, for any, for the TCG, because it's all like symbiotic. It's all like one. Like Pokemon is not just the video games and this. No,
Yeah.
Pokemon is this giant fucking organism of all these different organs and all these different parts and pieces that have to function as a tandem in order for it to see the success that it has. So that's a big part of why the games are just ass, because they're not uh, they're not incentivized to do better, because they'll just see success no matter what because of the IP legacy and popularity. And number two, it just works best for them to do as little as possible and just add a gimmick and be like, okay, well, just figure this out and then pump out the game, make sure it's out by November of this year, and that's in line with the anime and with all these other like streams of revenue and product lines that they want to push out. So it's not going to change. It's never going to change. It's going to change if Pokemon ever uh, falls off super hard, which I don't think will happen. So I've lost all hope for Pokemon personally.
I get it.
Anyway,
I'll be
do we have
playing the new
time for?
Digimon game when it comes out. So that's where I'm at.
Hey, do we have time for one more, or how we doing with that?
We're at 56 minutes currently, so we can either do one more or we can close it out.
Let's do one more.
All right.
High choice. We'll try to make this one fast.
Maybe it'll be a unanimous one. Let's see.
Visual novels deserve
Wow.
more
Okay.
respect. I don't have an opinion or an answer for this, so go ahead, Gunnar.
Okay. So I play a lot of visual novel games. Um. I mean, I, I don't. If anybody thinks visual novel games mass market like every gamer, then no. They're for people who like visual novels. Like it's they shouldn't appeal to mass market. So like the people who like visual novels like them and respect them. And if you're gonna want to take away someone's quote unquote gamer cred because they play visual novel games, then I don't know. I just feel like you're wasting your time. They're definitely not for everybody. It's a visual novel. It literally is in the name. It is a novel, a light novel, with either voice acting and visuals in the form of pictures to set the scene, or it's just the pictures and the novel. You get voice acting if you have a bigger budget. So like Tsukiyomi is one for anybody who knows in the audience. Um, that's a very popular light novel. It's in the same. It's Type Moon. It's the same people who make Fate Stay Night. Fate Stay Night is also a visual novel. Started off as a visual novel. So the people who like those respect those, but I don't think they deserve respect from like the people who play Warzone. Like they're in two different hemispheres of the gaming scene. It's like, okay, I don't need a Warzone guy to go like, yo, that's Fate Stay Night. That shit goes hard, bro. You a real gamer. It's like, it's fine. If you don't think they're real games, it's fine. It's like people who I despise gotcha games. There are people who love gotcha games. Like we don't have to respect it. It's just it is a game. You hate it, you love it, or you're indifferent about it. So no, visual novel games do not deserve more respect. The people who like them support them and buy them, and they continue.
So I have a question, Gunnar, in regards to your response, like, and your experience with visual novel games. Have there ever been instances where there was uh, negative reactions towards like visual novel games, like let's say you've spoken with someone who about a visual novel game and it wasn't as receptive, or have you read things throughout uh you know the web I couldn't even get that out, um where people were pretty much shitting on visual novels and things like that.
As in, like, the actual medium of visual novels, or arguing the nuance of a particular story?
No. The like overall the generality of visual novels, like they weren't receptive to it.
I mean, I've seen people that don't understand why people like visual novels. They're just like, okay, so it kind of it if I had to correlate it with myself, it's why I don't read audiobooks. I'd rather read a book. I understand why there are some people who like audiobooks or prefer audiobooks. I've heard the arguments for it.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I respect it. I mean, I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't have time to read a book, so I'll listen to an audio novel or an audiobook while I do something else." To me, that defeats the purpose of reading a book. The purpose of reading a book is the act of finding as quiet of a spot as you can to read this piece of literature for maybe an hour. Or that's how I read a book, and that's how I absorb what I'm reading better. But I get someone likes a audiobook. It's the same with a visual novel. I'll see that as like a criticism, or maybe just an observation by someone who's not used to it. It's like, oh, this is boring. It's not fun. Why do this? Why not, like, play something else? It's the same argument of the Telltale games, right? Uh, Telltale's made a lot of those essentially
The
point and
Wolf
click.
Among Us and
Wolf Among Us, Batman, Borderlands, Walking Dead is arguably the one that most people know them for. People wouldn't get those games, and to me, those games are just more interactive visual novels. It's about the story. It's all about the story. And for visual novels, it is about the story. You can argue where it's like, well, this story was weak, but that's arguing like, at that point, that's getting into book club debates. Like, this chapter was weak, this chapter was strong. I didn't like how this character arc played out in the end. That's just that at that point, that's arguing nuance. But to go back to your question, I've seen people try to, like, they don't understand why people would play visual novels, and then you just explain it to them, and either they get it or they don't. And yeah, it is what it is.
okay. Because the way I look at the visual novels is that it's another way to absorb information, like how you like to read a book as opposed to people like to do audiobooks. It's just a way to absorb information. Visual novels are just a bit more interactive. It's like you're instead of you imagining, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. In a book, instead of imagining what the character is going through, or reading along as to what the character is going through, whether it's like or listening to for the audiobooks. In this particular case, it's more so just you interacting with the character. So there might be like deviations within the story, or like pathways, kind of equivalent to like I don't know if you guys remember those Goosebumps
Oh,
books where it's like turn the
choose your own
page.
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's just another
exactly what.
way.
Yeah, yeah. A
Okay.
lot of visual novel games have multiple endings. They have bad endings, good endings, true endings, and that's where the gameplay comes in. It's like, oh shit, I got a bad ending. You go back to a point in time and you choose a different dialogue option that you didn't choose the last time, and it puts you into a different route. So that's how visual novels get like longevity, and that's the gameplay loop. It's reading the different endings, and eventually you'll get to the canonical true ending, and that's the ending. So
Gotcha. Because I am not versed in that. I've only played Wolf Among Us, and I don't even think they constitute Detroit Become Human as a visual novel. Um,
no, usually visual novels are it's in the name. It's a lot of reading.
yeah.
So it's like, Telltales, I always equivalent more to like point and click games. Except it's more interactive because you can move a character to a certain degree in those games. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I mean, the people who love them, they love them. I have a few that I like, and I support them when they come out, and they're far and few in between because they're obviously very significantly smaller communities than like a Call of Duty game. But they have respect for the people who like them, and the general gaming community doesn't like it. It's like, well, there's other things to play.
True. True. All right.
I assume we're closing it out.
Yes, sir.
All right, that marks the end of this discussion. If you enjoyed our talk, please consider leaving a like on the video, hitting the subscribe button. We do episodes like this every week on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out the description below for any related links to this discussion, which we don't have because we didn't read any articles, as well as social media links. We have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, and Twitter. Check out a Twitch channel where Mr. Esoteric Skills streams 2 times a week and plays all kinds of games, ranging from indie to retro to AAA slop. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week. Peace.